Hello, it is Spud here, and welcome to episode 13 of the Roundup. In today's episode, we are going to be doing our Call of Duty World Championship 2024 predictions. We're also going to be doing my awards, so top 5 coach, top 5 objective player, AI, SMG, Rookie of the Year, and MVP. And the MVP race is wide open between three. We're also going to be looking at the Clayster and accuracy situations. Accuracy potentially being a coach for OpTic for champs, and Clayster obviously being made a free agent. If you do enjoy this episode, please do drop a like and subscribe if you are new. It is really appreciated. Comment who you think the MVP Rookie of the Year is, and also who you have winning Call of Duty champs. Just a heads up, obviously, um, I will be doing my champs predictions next week, okay, which is a bit different. Um, but yeah, that'll be next week. Because there's enough time. So this episode will be out on Tuesday, so tomorrow, because this is Monday now. And next week's episode will also be out on Tuesday. But yeah, let's just get straight into it because this is going to be an exciting episode with a lot of debate. So we're going to start with Clay. Obviously, he's been made a free agent by the Royal Ravens for the Esports World Cup, even though they confirmed their team for the Esports World Cup and had Clayster in it. He's played the game all year. He'd like to play at the biggest tournaments. Unfortunately, though, I just don't think many teams are going to do roster changes, especially the ones that are currently in champs, because they're not going to make a change whilst they're in champs because they're not allowed anyway. Um, he's disappointed, of course. You know, he said if there's another roster mania he's involved in, he'll retire. Obviously, it's already happened. Will it happen? Hopefully not, but we just don't know ultimately. Obviously, with Clayster, he brings a fan base, whichever team he goes to. Vegas had a lot of fans last year. Ravens had a lot of fans. A lot of people that support FaZe, OpTic, Ultra, they all want, and Subliners, the big four, they all want to see Clayster do well. Most of the people, anyway. So, obviously, he does bring that fan aspect to teams, which gives them more promotion, more media, but they've decided to move on. I can understand why. His stats are not great for the entire season, but he's obviously one of them players that you want as a leadership role. Will he be on a team next year? I'm not sure. I hope he will be, but I'm not sure. Um, we'll have to just see ultimately. Um, I feel like the best chance he's got is probably on a lower end team. Obviously, I did see someone saying like, he still has the talent. And I think he does because he's had good series, but he was just too poor online for me. And obviously, winning online, you get 10 points. He was always better on LAN than online, which is fair enough. I think if there was an extra major next year, that might be better for him. But we'll have to just see. Obviously, some people want him to join the flank. Will he be on the casting desk for champs? We'll have to just see. Hey, he originally lives in Dallas before he moved to Charlotte for the Ravens. So obviously Champs is in Texas as well, so it could happen. Moving on, we have got the breaking point tweet that a screenshot has emerged with accuracy from the Minnesota Rocker in the team chat with OpTic. Could he be coaching OpTic at Champs? Now, obviously, there's already big rumours that Linz and Gunless are a team of two. Rocker are going to recruit two more players for World Cup. Could we see Beans, hopefully? Because obviously there's a rumour going around that Boston's team could be Snoopy, Cammy, Arcites, and Pentagram, which I think is a horrific lineup, to be honest, and that'll be last in the Esports World Cup and last in the CDL. Accuracy, though, has been seen in an OpTic team chat, which is locked as well, so he's obviously invited in, with Karma, JP, and the four players. Now, obviously, Accuracy has played with Kenny before in World War II, for example, whereas he's played with Pred in Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2 as well. He knows these players and he's a good S&D player. I personally rate the appointment, if it is an appointment. Obviously, we don't know what accuracy's going to do in the future, but if he was to retire, for example, and become a coach, if he has a successful, if OpTic potentially, let's say, win champs, which is very unlikely based off their current form and momentum, they might decide to pick accuracy up as a full-time coach with Karma and JP. I think Pred needs the confidence because the first three stages of this game he was pretty good. This last stage he's been absolutely horrific. In S&D he's like a headless chicken. I think someone like Accuracy can sort that out. I don't know if it's OpTic's playstyle or what that's causing the issues, but Pred does need to improve and fast. Obviously, this would be another vet retiring potentially. Obviously, if Clayster does retire, Accuracy could retire. You know, we are seeing less of the OG Call of Duty players in the league, and it is starting to fill up with more young talent because they've just potentially just got more energy and they're better at the games. They might have better awareness now. But I do think players with leadership are important, and I do think that Boston had that with Slasher. I know Priest is obviously a vet to a degree. He's obviously a world champion, but I think dropping Slasher was a mistake. Obviously, Clayster's been the leadership player for Ravens, Accuracy for Rocker. I mean, Attach for Vegas, and Attach has been amazing. So yeah, we'll just have to see on this OpTic situation. I don't think anything would be like officially announced. Obviously, Ace, who is actually Accuracy's brother, has put interest in. He'll obviously know more though. I'm assuming. Anyway, for the first big part of this video, we are going to do our 2024 CDL end of season awards. So we have decided to do the top 5, and we have honourable mentions for every single category. We have coaches, objective player, AR, SMG, rookie of the year, and the big one, MVP. So let's just get straight into it with the coaches. So we are starting with our honourable mentions, which are Rambo and Methods Sick. So Rambo is the Seattle Surge coach. Since bringing all 4 in, since Stage 3, they've improved massively and got 5th seed at Champs. Really, really impressive from Seattle Surge to turn it around after a horrific first 2 stages. And you know, the players speak highly of Rambo. Obviously, he used to be the OpTic coach in Vanguard and for part of Modern Warfare 2. Then Method Sick is the My Heretics head coach. Obviously, he wasn't originally the head coach until after Major 3. But I think Miami did turn it around in Major 3 and Major 4. Yeah, they lost. They beat OpTic. Obviously got top 8. They would have liked probably a better result, but they have definitely improved and obviously locked in their spot for champs. So I've included the top 4 teams here because they've all won an event. I've gone for Karma and Co in 5th. Obviously, it's top 5 coaches, but it includes the coaching staff as well. So I put Karma in 5th. Obviously, this stage and leading up to champs is really poor. And it's probably the worst time to have bad momentum because champs is the biggest tournament of them all. But I think their S&D needs major work, and that's why I've put them in 5th for the season. I put Joe from Toronto Ultra. Obviously, Toronto were the best team in the game at Major 1. Runners up in Major 3, even though they beat OpTic in FaZe. And then they came 4th at Major 4, but they weren't very good. They lost to Gorillas and New York. And almost got reverse swept by the Surge. So I put them in 4th. And then I put Sender from the Subliners, Sender and D-Real, obviously. They would have been 4th if they would have been 5th if it wasn't for them winning Major 4, but they were amazing. And now they're the second favourite to win champs according to the bookies. No team has ever won champs back to back. Could this be the time they do it? And then I've put Crowder from FaZe. You know, obviously FaZe have been the best team in the game. They've lost 8 matches all season. Obviously 2 of those are grand finals. One's a winners final and one's a losers final. But yeah, online solid, on land solid. They just can't. They just have an issue at Championship Sunday though. That's why they're second. And I've put VOs from the Gorillas at first. Yeah, I know they were one of the worst teams online in the game, but they got 3 wins last event in the top three at LAN. They had top three, two top sixes, and a top 12 at LAN this season. The worst roster on the game, apparently, according to people. People laughing, saying, "Who is this guy?" Their analysts and other coaches work for no money at all because Gorillas and the Guard are broke. Um, and yeah, they've got a team that don't even have a facility, but have really good teamwork and attributes, and are now sixth seed at champs after getting 60 CDL points for third. So yeah, they deserve a lot of credit, VOs and the Gorillas, to make champs in the first place because everyone wrote them off after the first couple of online matches. Top five objective players in 2024. So this includes like control ticks, control defense, hard point, obviously being on the hill, bomb carries as well. Um, so we've got, first of all, sorry, Envoy, Ghosty, and Kenny as our honourable mentions. Um, Reason for honourable is just because maybe like they're good in one mode but not the other. But they're still obviously quite impactful in the objective. But we've got our top five here. So we've got Nero from Las Vegas Legion. I think since Purge left, because Purge was kind of the objective player, it's kind of changed to Nero now. And the last few stages, it's worked really well for Vegas, especially online. Then we've got Skies from New York Subliners. Obviously, one of the main parts he had to play in winning Major 4 was just sitting on the hill, and Hydra, Kismet, and Sib were killing the rest of the phase. Skies wasn't getting many kills, but he also wasn't dying much, and he was getting loads of objective time. And that is a really important role to have in a team. It was close for second and third, but I've gone for Insight in third, just because he sometimes shares the responsibility with Envoy. Um, but obviously Insight tends to be the one that's on the hill most of the time. And yeah, he does a good job at it. I put a Boozer in second because ever since he switched to that AR, he just sits on the hill and gets loads of kills. Sits in the control point, gets loads of kills. Really impactful. Ever since he changed to an AR, he's been amazing. And then I've put Dashi at number one. I think that's pretty fair, to be honest. He's always on the hill for OpTic. He's always doing the control ticks. Statistically, I think he is the best objective player in the game anyway. And he's kind of stepped up in that remark because last year it was a lot of Ghosty being in the hill for OpTic when he was there. But yeah, Dashi's definitely for me the best objective player this year. Moving on to the top five ARs in 2024. Now there is a lot of honourable mentions here. I'm going to quickly mention Metals and Abuser first. Just the last two, since they both moved to ARs, they've both been really good, and I was shocked by how good Metals' stats actually were. Attach, none of the honourable mentions are in order except Attach, probably, because he should be sixth. He's been amazing this year for Legion. Obviously, they just missed out on champs, but that doesn't matter. Attach was really good. Insight, yeah, he's been pretty solid all year. Kenny has had really good series and a few bad ones. Sib has stepped up majorly more. Sorry, no. Sib has improved a lot in this Subliners team since Major 2. Definitely the right choice to bring him in. Skies obviously might not get as many kills. His stats are still really good though, and I think he deserves an honourable mention. So Draza in fifth. Obviously Draza's phase is fourth. He's a bit of a different phase fourth compared to like Slasher and Arcites, but Draza's been really good for phase this year, and he deserves a spot in the top five. He has maps where he's the best Slayer for the team, which you wouldn't get with the other two. Ghosty on the Thieves for number four. Ghosty's been really important for the Thieves. They would probably be. Without Ghosty, I think that Thieves team is probably the 11th spot. He's so important to that team. They need to get him better players next year because he's too good of a player to not have on your roster. And yeah, I know OpTic got rid of him for Kenny. Was it the right call? We don't know, but apparently there was some internal issues, which obviously I can't really discuss because I don't know anything about them. I've put Dashi at number three. Obviously, his objective players come into play here, as well as just his slaying. He's probably been OpTic's most consistent player this year, and he's also had loads of clutches in Search and Destroy, similar to Insight, and he deserves that number three spot. Has he been OpTic's best player? He's probably OpTic's been OpTic's best player this year. Is he OpTic's most important player though? That's maybe up for debate with Shotzi. Um, and then I've put Celium in second. I know he has the overall best KD in the entire league this season. Obviously, it helps with how good his teammates are. But yeah, Celium's been pretty good this year as always. I've put Scrap at number one though. Best hardpoint KD, second best overall KD, second best control KD. Causes an issue for loads of people. Easily Toronto Ultra's best player. He's always getting minimum 25, 30 kills on a map. He always has the most kills normally for the Ultra. He is really, really good at this game. And I think everyone knew that already, even though this is only his second season. Now we go for the SMGs. I've got honourable mentions of Gwyn because Gwyn has been amazing this year, even though they didn't make champs, the same as Nero. Honestly, if those two were a duo next year, that could be quite an interesting team. I've put Kismet in there, but it's only mainly because of Major 4, because before that he's been really, really underwhelming, but he's got really good momentum going into champs, and he was my MVP of the event as well. Pred, he's had good series, he's obviously won a chip as well, but Major 4 has been a letdown. And Linz has had overall, on a personal note, a good season. But he has dropped off a bit. But I've kind of put Linz there mainly for his stage one rather than like the entire year. It was close. I could have put him. I could have put Estrel. I could have put TJ Halley, but I've gone for Linz. Anyway, my top five. And by the way, this has no impact on the MVP race regarding Simp and Hydra, and I'll explain why. So Kleenex in fifth. Obviously, he was the MVP of Major One. He's Toronto's second best player. He has maps where he goes really, 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 really strong. He also has maps where he's not as good, but I think fifth is fair. He actually could have gone ahead of Abeezy, who I've put in number four. And the reason he could have gone ahead of Abeezy is just because Abeezy's not exactly had a mastermind of a year. He's had a good year and he's had really solid maps. But I do think that I've actually just realised I've put Atalanta rather than Atlanta. So I've put it as like the Italian city in Bergamo, the Italian club in Bergamo. Oh well, it's only a minor spelling mistake. It's nothing. Yeah, Abeezy. I think because of Draza, they've um they've not be he's not had to do as much slaying, and obviously Simple so is the main slayer on the SMG. I've put Shotzi in third. Obviously, he got MVP at Major 3. He's OpTic's most impactful player. Maybe not the most important. The only issue with Shotzi is sometimes you can have a really bad map. Like when they played Miami on sub base, I think he was like 4-18 or something at one point, and it's just like you can't do that. You've lost the map already. It was against Vegas, sorry, not Miami. Um, Yeah, so that's why he's third. And then Hydra and Simp, it's close. I've gone for Hydra second, and the main reason is because a lot of his players this year has also been on an AR. But he's obviously the best player on the subliners. But yeah, that's why I've actually gone for Hydra in second. Maybe that's a bit unfair, I'm not sure. But Simp first. I just think Simp's stats speak for themselves. He is such a good player. He, arguably in the last, well, not arguably, in the last like few years, he has been overall the best Call of Duty player in the last few years. For Atlanta phase, not Atlanta. But yeah, Simp is just the stats speak for themselves. You know, he has maps where he can get like him and Hydra as well can just get like a 12 kill streak in a control or a hard point. I don't think Shotzi, Abeezy or Kleenex could. Maybe Abeezy could, but I don't think the other three Shotzi and Kleenex wouldn't be able to, so that's why Simp and Hydra are number 1 and 2. Simp obviously was MVP at Major 2 as well. Yeah, and obviously it's between Simp, Hydra, and Scrap, but it just changes for everyone really. Like everyone keeps changing their mind. Anyway, we've got now our top 5 Rookie of the Year in 2024. So I didn't want to make too many honourable mentions for this. So I've only gone for 2, and I've gone for Real and 4. Obviously, the Heretics have been way better since Real came in, replacing Eric Boom, who replaced Journey. And obviously, Metal's going to a switch with Vickle. He was my original pick for Rookie of the Year before the season started, and I think it's fair to put him there in the honourable mention. I've also gone for 4 because he's only been in as well for 2 stages, like Real. But his S&D is superb. Yeah, he could work on his respawn a bit, and that's why he's an honourable mention. I can't actually remember most of my predictions. I think I had Ultra Phase final, and I had Ultra winning before the season started. I also had someone's like an unpopular opinion, and I remember having no team would go 7-0 in qualifiers. That happened, obviously. I actually had Miami Heretics getting a top 4 finish, making a Championship Sunday, and obviously the only teams that made Championship Sundays outside the top 4 teams were Minnesota Rocker, who didn't even make champs, and obviously LAG. So the debate is Estriel or Gwyn. I haven't even got Estriel in the top 2, and I'll explain why. So 5th Geo from the Legion. Good year for Geo. Yeah, they didn't make champs, but I do think he had an impact for the Legion. They looked better when he joined the team. And then now I know you're gonna say you had Linz as an honourable mention in the SMG and not Estriel, but you've put Estriel ahead. I have, yep, that's right. Linz in 4th. I just think Rocker have been pretty poor, and there's been series where Linz has to step up to help because Standy's having a stinker. He's got 3 kills or something, and accuracy's playing pretty poor, and Gunless is doing okay, and that just hasn't happened from Linz. His stats have decreased since that really good Major 1 start. And that's why I've put him in 4th. And the reason Estriel's in 3rd ahead of him is just because obviously that top 3 finish has helped. Estriel was already my outside shot for Rookie of the Year in like episode 3 of the Roundup, which was like 10 weeks ago. His stats are decent. They're not like overwhelming, but they're not underwhelming. And he's obviously just got a top 3 finish. He plays quite well. He's probably Gorilla's best player against the big teams, and that's why I've put him ahead of Linz. Because DiamondCon and Fame and Flames, they play well against the smaller teams, whereas Estriel's tends to be the one that has more of an impact against the bigger teams. The reason that I'm put first of all, in a lot of them, this is obviously an American esport. Let's be honest, it is. It's played in North America, right? In the NBA, Rookie of the Year was given to Victor Wembanyama, and that's completely deserved because he was the best Rookie of the Year. He played for a team that didn't even qualify for the playoffs. And he got Rookie of the Year. So what's the difference here? Why wouldn't Gwyn be Rookie of the Year? I've got a Boozer in 2nd, and I think he was pretty average on the SMG. But the fact that he came onto this AR, and I think putting a Boozer on the AR and bringing 4 in on the sub is the reason that they're in champs now. A Boozer has genuinely played like Rookie of the Year in the last couple of, especially in Split 4. But it's based off the whole season, and that is why I've gone for Gwyn as Rookie of the Year. And he's been my Rookie of the Year for a while now. I just want to pull up his stats here for the year. Obviously, number 9 overall KD in the entire game, and this is for a player that didn't make champs. Yeah, his S&D needs a bit of work, but you can see how strong he is in the respawns. Any team that has the money to bring him in and would be an upgrade on what they've currently got has to bring him in, because this guy is good enough, is too good not to be making champs, I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, let's base it off a top 3 finish, because, like I said, Wemby's probably going to get Rookie of the Year. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever for the Women's NBA. she plays on like a mediocre team, let's say, she's hopefully going to win Rookie of the Year because she's really good at what she does, and Gwyn is really good at what he does. I don't think there should be really a debate, to be honest. I can understand the debate, and maybe I could have put Estriel ahead of a Boozer. Yeah, maybe I could have, but also a Boozer's objective playing, I think, also had a impact here. Now it's time for the big one, though. MVP. Like I said, these are not in order. However, Shotzi just misses out, and the person Shotzi is sixth. Okay, I'll say that as much. He is sixth. Um, these five players have been really good this year, and all deserved a chance to be on the top five. So you're probably thinking, Simp, Scrap, Hydra are going to be around in the top three. We don't know the order. Celium. Did I put Celium in? No, I did. I did. Surely I did, right? No, I did. I did. Yeah, the reason I've not gone for Shotzi is just because, like I mentioned earlier, there was some maps where he was going like nearly quadruple negative. Um, but he's obviously that's the type of play similar to Huke. He's just like an upgraded version of Huke, and that's why I liked the Shotzi and Huke duo last year. But at the same time, it had loads of cons, Right, it's time. My MVP ladder for 2024. And by the way, last year I had Hydra winning MVP, and he did. Bang. Right, there we go. Number 5, Dashi. Now, I've gone for Dashi over Shotzi because arguably Dashi was the best player in Major 3, the entire split. He's also probably been OpTic's best player at Major 4, and probably, yeah, best player at Major 3 and Major 4 overall, including the online matches. Obviously, his clutches have been so helpful for OpTic. Obviously, the 1v3. I didn't even do a column for players of the year, but I think that Dashi's 1v3 against FaZe at losers final on map 5 is the player of the year. Um, that's why I've put him ahead of Shotzi. Before recording this, I did have Shotzi ahead of Dashi, but I've changed it. I think Shotzi's. I mean, this is most valuable player, right? Shotzi. If Shotzi could have the consistency in his play, because his play style is never going to change and it shouldn't change. But if he had better stats for most of the season and most of the games, there's a lot of series he drops a negative. And I don't think you could have that as an MVP, someone in the top 5, personally. Maybe that's harsh. Some people might have Shotzi at number 4, but I put Dashi at number 5. And then Celium at number 4. He has the best KD in the game. And you can't say he's kill or anything. He's obviously an amazing player. We all know that. And I think fourth's fair. This was tough, right? Let me be clear. I've had it as Hydra Simp Scrap. I've had it as Simp Hydra Scrap. I've now got it as Scrap Simp Hydra. I just couldn't. I kept changing. I just kept changing, right? So Hydra's at number 3 for this season. Look at the stats: fourth, 11th, and third. All right, the respawns are really the most important one here if you're looking for an MVP, and Hydra shows that. He's been easily the most impactful and best player on the subliners this year. He just got MVP at Major 4. But I think third, it's so tough. You could go either way. If someone could say, oh, Scrap should be number 3, Hydra should be number 1, Simp should be number 2. You could go whatever order you want. I would be fine with it. These 3 players have been the best 3 players in the Call of Duty League for 2024. But I've put Hydra in third. Reasoning, I don't know. I actually don't know. I just think Scrap and Simp have been better, really. But it's not like that Hydra's played bad, because why would he be third and in the running? But I've gone Hydra. Simp at number 2. I mean, this guy is just absolutely nuts. Best player in the last few years overall, easily. Yeah, the stats speak for themselves. Unbelievable player, but he is on the best team. He has got Draza, Celium, and Abizi. Hydra has Obviously, Skies and Kismet won the World Championship, but they've been underperforming. Sib is a good player, you know. I think he's won 3 chips now. I could be wrong. Um, but my MVP of the year is Scrap. And the reason that Scrap is my MVP of the year is not just because he's got a lovely purple next to the hardpoint KD. He is the best hardpoint player of the game. His S&D, I mean, he's a 1.05. It's not even like that's a bad KD. It looks bad because it's yellow. If that was a green statistic, it'd look fine. Second best control, second best overall KD. He's the best player on Ultra. Envoy and Insight have had a lot of negative series this year, and Scrap has been the one going positive. Yes, I understand with Hixie last year, all 3 of those players benefited off him getting like a 0.6 because they were trading him out all the time, and that works. I get that. But I do think Scrap is the MVP because he is the most valuable player. MVP's most valuable player, ultimately. And I think if Hydra's replaced, if you get rid of Hydra or Scrap, they're not going to be as good. I get that. But I think you can't put Simp in third. You either put Simp first or second, ultimately. You cannot put Simp at third. So I've gone for Scrap. I just think he seems like a nuisance to play against. And he just shoots and kills, and yeah, I've gone for Scrap. But either way, I mean, originally I had it as after this event I had it as Hydra. If I had Simp to win, I thought FaZe were going to win the grand finals. Let's be honest. I had it as Simp already. If FaZe beat New York, Simp's MVP because he would have been MVP for Major 2 and Major 4. But I've gone for Scrap. All right, I don't think it's controversial. But yeah, that is the end of my awards. Now it's time for Champs bracket before we end. So we have got quite a few matches. Obviously, there's only 8 teams. We're just going to put FaZe in to start with because let's not expect many shocks. Yeah, we didn't have Ultra beating Gorillas, Ultra losing to Gorillas. Sorry, in Major 4 winners round 1. It doesn't matter. FaZe. The second match is interesting, but New York's momentum will just be too much for Seattle Surge, and I've got Subliners winning. Ultra versus Thieves is an interesting series because if Kremp and Joe DeSaves show up, it could actually get really tight. But that's a big if, and I've gone Ultra. I think Ultra, to be honest, they have a lot to prove now. They have to prove a point because they got to Championship Sunday, and then they got 3-0 by New York. Now this is an interesting one: OpTic versus Gorillas, because OpTic just got top 12 and LAG just got top 3. Surely LAG would be the favourites, right? Well, funnily enough, LAG have the least chance of winning champs according to the bookmakers. It's 66-1, I think it was. And I think OpTic will sort their issues out. I do. I honestly do think they'll sort their issues out here and they will win. Which then obviously puts Heretics against Surge and Thieves against Gorillas. And obviously Thieves Gorillas. This is not a rivalry. They always kick our ass. Could it happen again? Well, Heretics versus Surge is a really interesting game. I think it goes to a game 5, but I am actually going to go for the Seattle Surge. Because I just think they're the better S&D team, especially with 0-4. And yeah, I think Surge will take it. Thieves versus Gorillas now. If Major 4 hadn't happened, I'd have went Thieves. Thieves and Gorillas played each other at Major 4, and Gorillas won. It was 3-0. And Gorillas' record against Thieves, even though Thieves won the World Championships in 2022, just isn't good. And I can't take that away from the fact I can't see anything but a Gorillas win. Maybe it's not controversial to put a Gorillas win, but maybe it's controversial saying I can't see anything else but that. Now we have the rematch of Major 4, FaZe New York. This isn't a Champs Sunday, so I expect FaZe to win. Which would obviously that means that Subliners it flips, so they would play the Gorillas. based off this prediction. Then we've got Ultra versus OpTic, and obviously Ultra have a point to prove, OpTic have to prove something. But I think the Ultra are just too strong for OpTic, to be honest, and that would be a win for Ultra, and OpTic would go down to the losers bracket to play Surge. I don't think there's been any major shocks now in my bracket. In my brackets, there tends to be maybe one shock. And here it comes. OpTic versus Seattle Surge. Seattle Surge are a way better S&D team than OpTic. They just have to win one respawn and win the two S&Ds. It could be a Nuzlocke, and I've got Seattle Surge taking OpTic out. And yeah, OpTic, obviously, it's their event. I'm an OpTic fan. I think the OpTic are getting top 6. Will that spiral for a roster change? I don't think so, because there just isn't an upgrade out there, unless Hydra or Scrap somehow become available. So I have got Seattle Surge making Champs Sunday. They took Ultra to a map 5. Obviously, Subliners played Gorillas at the event, and it was a comfortable 3-0 for the Subliners, and they'll win again. And it'll be Surge Subliners to start Championship Sunday. Obviously, this is a rematch of winners round 1. And I think it'll have the same outcome. I do think that the Subliners will win. I just don't think that Surge will be able to stop Hydra, Sib, and Kismet, to be honest. And then we have our winners final in Champs. FaZe versus Ultra. I feel like the crowd, even though it's obviously an OpTic crowd, they will be all cheering for Ultra. And Scrap loves to get loud. Obviously, Scrap versus Raza. This could be the last time they play each other, potentially, based off this bracket. But I have got FaZe winning this. And FaZe winning a Championship Sunday match. I know. Crazy, right? I say that, but they beat Gorillas, but it's not really like a major achievement. So, FaZe versus Ultra ends in a FaZe win. And will that loss for Ultra cause them to have a mental block? Potentially lose? Yes, it does. I have got Subliners beating Ultra. And Subliners with a similar run to Major 4 and getting to the Grand Final and playing FaZe. FaZe versus Subliners. To find out your world champs. No team has won back-to-back champs. This is a best of 9, right? Because if it was a best of 7, I might actually go Subliners. And I know I go for FaZe and they don't seem to win because they have some issue at Championship Sunday. But FaZe are my 2024 world champs, based off my prediction. That is my prediction for this event. That FaZe will win in OpTic's backyard. I'll do an MVP prediction. Obviously, the reason I've done my MVP predictions is because that's the in-season MVP. That won't change. That'll be handed out before Champs Sunday, before the finals and stuff like that. My 2024 finals MVP is going to be Celium, you know. I've got a feeling that Celium has an absolute masterclass against the Subliners and plays pretty well against the Ultra. So yeah, that is my champs prediction. Let me know what you think on this prediction down below. So it would be Heretics and Thieves getting top 8, OpTic and Gorillas getting top 6, Surge finishing 4th, Ultra finishing 3rd, Subliners finishing 2nd, and FaZe finishing 1st. So, that is going to be the end of this roundup. I know it was quite a long one, to be honest, for just predictions, but I kind of wanted to, explain my thoughts. You can go for anyone in the top 3 for that MVP, to be honest, but I've edged it for Scrap. That sounds bad. Thank you, though, for every single person that's watched this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Next week's episode will be my Challengers Champs predictions. any other news in the CDL and Esports World Cup, and any potential issues for teams leading into that Champs weekend. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.